Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV edition. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we are working our way through Tales From the Crypt, the anthology series from the early 90s in HBO. This is going to be Season 3, Episode 2. It's called Carrion Death. Full spoilers for the episode as always. Kel MacLachlan's in this one. What a pleasant surprise when the episode started and his name popped up. I was like, oh, so it's a big name.
And hopefully you enjoy him because it's pretty much all you're going to get.
That's not entirely true. There's a bird. But
That's true.
The bird seems very pleasant. Nice condor.
Are we certain that he didn't play the bird as well, though?
Do you know, it's funny you say that because there was a brief moment so the plot of this one is that Kel MacLachlan plays this guy called Diggs who's just escaped from prison. He's robbed some money and he's on the getaway to Mexico. He's driving to Mexico, but this highway patrolman, this policeman, is on the chase, and it's him chasing him through the road, the desert, that kind of thing. And there's also this vulture kind of watching over them, sort of expecting that he's going to get dinner eventually because they're going to die in the desert. But when the cop first, there's a sort of action scene when the cop first shows up because the Diggs is in the car, cop's on his bike, and we get a little bit of a chase and a bit of shooting. But see, when the cop first stepped off the bike after everything went down, and Diggs went away on foot, and they were sort of hiding the cop's face, I legitimately thought it was going to be Kel MacLachlan playing both parts.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be a reveal. Like eventually, he was going to take off his helmet, and it was going to be him. And it was like the good version of him. I thought it was going to go that way for a twist, and it didn't. It had nothing to do with that. I was just reading way too much into them, sort of obscuring the cop's face.
Yeah.
In fact,
they look pretty similar too.
Yeah, they had a very similar sort of jawline, which is, I guess, why we were probably both jumping to that conclusion. Obviously, eventually, I realised it wasn't him because once he started talking more and stuff, it was kind of clear. But George Del Hoyo played the policeman, just for the record. No idea who that is. Did you enjoy this one, Timothy?
Yeah, for the most part. I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of all time, but it was definitely entertaining. Like you said, Kyle MacLachlan it's always a treat when you see him. I think he does good. Whatever he does.
I feel like every time you like an episode, right, but you don't love it, you say, "Oh, I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of all time." And I want to point out the flaw in that logic because technically, Tim, every single episode but one is not your favorite episode of all time.
That's fair. But
so
at the same time,
now, Tim, I'm going to expect you to say that every single week, except 1 week, and you better be sure that week is now your favorite episode of all time.
All right, well, we'll see. I'll have to keep tabs on it. But I mean, you know what I mean, though. Like it's good, but I didn't think, if I was making a list of the top 10 must-see episodes, probably wouldn't have this one on it. But it's definitely not a bad episode.
Even up till this point, though, keeping in mind we've only had two seasons and 2 episodes. Would you put it in the top 10 of what we've had so far?
I'd probably have to sit down and see what we got. Maybe it might sneak in near the end, but
get out the drawing board.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have an answer for that either, admittedly, but I'm just kind of poking at you because you're you and I'm me. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was a fun action episode where it was essentially just these two characters. Well, really just one, because the cop, like we say, is kind of he's just a faceless cop essentially. He doesn't really have a character. It's mainly Kel MacLachlan's Diggs who is on the run. He's cocky. He thinks he's getting away with it, and he escaped from death row. They mentioned that he was on death row when he escaped from prison, so it's almost like he's on borrowed time as it is, and the Vulture knows that.
The cop is almost similar to the Vulture in that they're both kind of like these, forces of nature, I guess, pursuing the guy.
Yeah. Actually, the first time you see the Vulture, I really like. It's when the car explodes. Which, by the way, I thought that was a bit much, just because the cop falls off the bike and the bike runs into the car, and Kel MacLachlan sees the bike come toward him and goes, "Oh shit!" and he dives out, and the bike properly goes into the car, and I'm like, "Was it really be that powerful? Like, it wasn't going that fast."
Yeah.
I would expect the bike to just kind of hit the side of the car and there'd be a bit of a dent, but it would be the bike that would take all the damage, really.
Yeah. I kind of like like Tales from the Crypt like action logic, like similar
Mm.
to their horror logic, where like nothing is that subtle. Like
It's a
everything is
cartoon.
usually ramped up. Yeah,
It's a cartoon.
and
But yeah, like I was saying, I like the first shot of the bird because the car explodes and it goes to this wide shot of and it's like the bird like 2 miles away looking at the explosion. And it's just really cool because you see the smoke coming up and the bird's just kind of watching, and it's kind of this ominous introduction to this bird who's going to be along with it for the journey.
yeah,
So eventually the cop chases after him and he finds him, and there keeps being kind of small amounts of hope for Diggs where he's like, oh, there's a diner up nearby, I can get something to eat and drink because I'm dying of thirst, it's a desert. And then it's like a shack that's been like abandoned for years and it's just like there's nothing
is it
there.
is it even on like a road? Like it didn't seem like it was off like a highway or something. Like it seemed like it was just
Yeah.
in literally in the middle of the desert.
The diner definitely, I'm not sure, but the what was definitely not on a road though was the sign, which I thought was extremely strange.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he finds this sign with the arrow, and obviously does that classic thing where the arrows like come loose, so it's spinning, and he has
Yeah.
to find which way it was actually pointing.
He does the Jurassic Park thing where
Yeah.
it's just like this isn't gonna help you.
But he picks it up, and I'm like, wait, where did that come from? Like, because you'd expect it to be on the side of a road.
Yeah.
That's typically where you put signs because no one tends to be wandering in the desert.
And if it's on the side of the road, chances are there's probably eventually going to be a car driving around.
Yeah, and you can just follow the road because he knows he's
Yeah.
going south. He's going to Mexico. That's his plan. He just has to go in one direction. It's not that complicated. But yeah, so he's got his bags of money. He's running. And eventually, the cop catches up to him at the little shack, and they have a fight, which results in the cop handcuffing himself to Diggs. But then Diggs grabs his gun and shoots him. But the cop swallows the key. So now he's attached to the cop and he has to carry him. Although he doesn't really have to carry him. Towards the end of the episode, he has this plan to try and cut off the cop's hand. And I'm like, why didn't you think of that first? That was the first thought I had when he starts carrying him. I'm like, find a way of cutting off his arm. Like,
Or, I mean, it's pretty gross, but the thing I was thinking of is like,
chew it.
I don't know, like, yeah, well, no, I was going to say, like, tear his head off and, like, try to find the key in, like, his esophagus or something.
Okay, that's also an option. I was thinking cut off the hand. Both
Yeah.
both are valid things. Especially if you get because the way he does it later on is, or he tries to do it, is he gets the cop's badge and he tries to sort of like sharpen it with a rock,
Yeah.
and he digs it into a stick so that he's got essentially a makeshift axe with this cop's badge, and he accidentally hits his own wrist, and then he
And I
falls off.
wonder,
The,
like,
the
too, if... Oh, sorry.
they're on
Like,
a little cliff sort of thing uphill in the desert, and he falls off. Which, by the way, I want to point out here. So his hand comes off. He falls away without the cop because his hand that he's cut falls off. It pulls away out of the handcuff as he falls. However, the shot of him actually flying through the air, like the stuntman or whoever, in the next shot, clearly has both hands. Come on, bit sloppy. Bit sloppy. It was really clear. I actually rewound it. I went back and checked because I thought, wait a minute, he had both hands. And I went back and checked, and sure enough, it's really obvious he has both hands. But what are you going to say, Tim?
Oh no, just and another thing I was thinking too is if you could easily find rocks like pretty much anywhere in the desert, and I don't know if he just found a rock, if he could just smash the cop's hands, basically get his bones into some type of paste that he could just kind of slip it out.
Yeah, just crush the hand until it's thin enough, because he can break his bones all he wants. He's dead.
Yeah.
Kyle MacLachlan's very good in it though. He's constantly talking to himself, which kind of needs to be for this kind of plot. But it works really well. He's amusing as he rambles on about how he hates people, and he's like, because he talks to the cop as he's carrying him. He's like, "Oh right, couldn't have done this without you." This is where we knew go separate ways. He's constantly talking to the cop. He's talking to the bird as well, who's after him, and that's pretty fun. Which leads to the gruesome ending actually. So he ends up falling off the cliff, and I actually love there's this weird effect that they've got on him where he's got his neck's kind of like sticking out, and it's like he's got this big lump in his neck, and it looks proper gross. Which arguably I think actually is the grossest thing in the episode is his neck thing. Although the part that comes next is still pretty brutal, because the vulture comes down and he's like, no, because he's paralysed. He can still talk, he's still alive, but he's like, no, I'm not dead yet. Go away, vulture, go away. And the vulture like jumps up on top of him, and it's a good little bit of suspense as the vulture kind of like eyes him up, then comes in, then jumps on top of him, and then he like picks out both of his eyes, and that's how we would leave the episode. As the camera pulls back, and he's like eating his eyes and his head, and is
And
pretty gruesome.
I actually thought it looked pretty good. I think sometimes the special effects might, tend to lean more a little on the cheesier side, but um, I thought it looked good, like especially like the
I think
vulture eating the eye and stuff.
Yeah, I think certainly the car stuff earlier was really cheesy. I think most of the
Yeah,
effects though in the last or the last 2 minutes of the actual story, where the eye eating the neck thing, even the hand coming off looked good. The only part that spoiled that was that you could clearly see he had two hands, the stuntman,
yeah.
as he was falling.
Mm.
But like the actual hand ripping off looked good. All that stuff looked great. Which was pretty cool. I actually did like the car chase though. Like before even though it was cheesy and over the top, I actually liked how it turned into like a standoff thing, where the cops in front of him, and like he rolls down the window and he's got the gun out, and the cops get his gun, and it's essentially just jousting. It's like classic old school like on horses jousting.
Yeah.
They just happen to be in a car and a motorbike.
I thought it was kind of funny though, like, and I kept thinking how bad this cop is. Like, just like, first of all, he just pulls up aside him and just like starts shooting into his like window.
He doesn't announce that he's police. He doesn't try to arrest them.
Yeah.
He constantly shoots first. Even later on, like after he gets away from the first time on foot, and Kyle MacLachlan sits down at like a branch just to rest for a minute, and look, you don't even see the cop coming. There's just a shot in the ground, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and he hide, and it's like the cop just starts opening fire.
And then at that point, how does it take him like so much longer for him to catch up to him? Like he doesn't catch up to him until at the diner, but there's that one point when he's shooting at him. It's like you guys aren't that far apart. And,
Yeah,
it's
it's playing fast and loose with the rules. I think. It's a really fun episode. I like how simple it is. I like how it's just two people and it's a chase. That's all it is, and it's like a race to try and get to Mexico. And I like that. The bit before he actually tries to cut off the cop's hand, when he gets to the top of the hill, top of the cliff face, and he looks over, he's like, "Oh, it's Mexico," and he's sort of propped up the cop who's dead, like against a rock, and you can see what's about to happen. The cop's about to fall back and pull him down, and he ends up going back down the cliff. But it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's good fun. It's a good dark humor episode with some good gore at the end, and it's a nice simple sort of chase sort of concept. But I thought it was really entertaining. I thought it was paced really well. I was never bored.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one.
And Kyle MacLachlan carries it really well. So no, I recommend Carrion Death. Carrion, of course, is a word that means the rotting flesh of a dead animal or human. Well, we are animals, I guess. So you know what I mean. In this case, it's a human because we're talking about Kyle MacLachlan's corpse. I love how the bird doesn't even go for the cop. He goes for Kyle MacLachlan. He doesn't go for the cop.
Yeah.
Who's now free from Kyle MacLachlan. He's on his own up there, but now the bird comes down for the convict. Yeah. Again, just desserts and all that.
Yeah, I thought that was funny when he's almost trying to bargain with the bird. He's like here you go, here's dinner, and like the bird doesn't even care.
Yeah. That was a fun one. Also, the Crypt Keeper dresses in the sort of the highway patrolman sort of get up, and I like the opening where it's like a close up of the boots going past, and I'm like, wait, is that maybe the Crypt Keeper? And obviously it goes off frame, and then the puppet comes up onto the seat, but you can tell they had like a kid or something like do the walking first. I thought that was pretty funny. But no, it was a solid fun episode. I think it's definitely a tighter one than the first one. I liked the first one, like last week's.
Right.
But I liked it in a sort of this is gloriously a mess kind of way, whereas this I thought was actually a tight little story. So cool. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz for channel updates, individual Twitters. I'm at Wibble89, Tim's at Tim Vergulish, and get us on there if you want. But thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week for another episode of Tales from the Crypt. Check out all the horror movies we do. We did The Void recently. That was probably not the first good movie, but it was the first sort of surprising out of nowhere good movie of the year. So check that out and stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.